Welcome to Reddit Confessions. I'm still not sure if I'm the villain, the idiot, or just a footnote in someone else's story. So, I did something pathetic last Tuesday. I reheated the same bowl of lentil soup 4 times just so it wouldn't feel like I was eating dinner alone in silence. That's where I'm at. Because my wife of 3 years left me a month ago. No warning. No big fight. Just a note on the fridge that said, "Corbin, I need space. Please don't text. I'll reach out when I'm ready." She didn't even have the guts to lie in person. You want to hear something worse? She left the fridge open when she walked out. Everything inside spoiled, including the life I thought we built. I didn't cheat. I didn't yell. I didn't forget her birthday or flirt with her sister. We'll come back to that. I just existed. And apparently, that's not enough anymore. For the first 2 weeks, I convinced myself she was off at some cabin, journaling and crying under pine trees, trying to rediscover herself. Then I found out from a friend, who works at a liquor store, that she was spotted 2 towns over, hugging her ex-boyfriend outside a bar called the Red Can. Yes, the Red Can. The same place we made fun of on our first road trip because it looked like a biker funeral home with neon beer signs. I don't even know what hurt more, that she went back to him, or that she left me for that. But I stayed quiet. I didn't blow up her phone. I didn't show up at her sister's. I just waited, like a dog who didn't understand the front door was never opening again. Until yesterday, when she showed up. No call, no warning, just the sound of her key in the lock like nothing happened. She looked tired, pale, nervous. She said, "Corbin, I messed up. I miss you. I want to come home. I want to start over." I didn't say a word. I just stood there, holding a glass of water I didn't realize I had filled twice. Then something happened that I will never get out of my head. The bathroom door down the hallway opened. Steam poured out, and her younger sister, Marla, stepped out in nothing but a towel and said with a smirk, "Actually, he already started." I don't even remember dropping the glass. I just remember the sound. That awful cracking slap when it hit the hardwood floor and didn't shatter clean. It splintered. A weird metaphor for everything happening in my head at that exact moment. Marla didn't flinch. She didn't panic or apologize. She just looked at Jessa, her sister, then back at me and raised her eyebrows like this was somehow funny. And I hate that part. Because the worst betrayal isn't the one that shocks you. It's the one that humiliates you in front of the person who walked away. Jessa's face? White. Completely blank. Like she just got hit with a plot twist in a movie where she was supposed to be the main character. She didn't say anything at first. Just stepped inside the house, slowly, like her legs weren't working right. She looked between me and Marla. And then she said the dumbest thing imaginable. "Wait, what is this?" Not, "What's happening?" or "What did I walk into?" or "Why is my sister in a towel in your house?" No, just, "What is this?" I didn't answer. Because I knew anything I said would be twisted into a defense or a confession. And truth be told, I didn't know what it was. I wasn't sleeping with Marla. I wasn't trying to get revenge. I wasn't trying to win. I was just broken. And she was the only person who came by during that month of silence and said, "You look like crap. Want me to cook something?" That's how it started. No kisses. No secret messages. Just Marla showing up with a grocery bag and zero judgment. She said she hated what her sister did. Said she always thought Jessa had a selfish streak. I didn't argue. I just let her stir soup in my kitchen and talk about weird documentaries she found on YouTube. But then, one night, I think it was day 18 of the 31, we fell asleep on the couch. Nothing happened. Literally. Just sleep. Fully clothed. Me drooling like a wounded puppy. But it changed something. I started wanting her to come back the next day. And she did. Again and again. And yeah, I started liking the attention. The way she looked at me when I said something smart. The way she laughed at my dry jokes. The way she didn't make me feel like I was wasting her potential. So when Jessa showed up at the front door, asking to start over, she didn't know she was walking into a home that had already started healing, without her. And now, standing in my hallway, hair wet, mascara smudged, she looked at me like I had betrayed her. "Is this why you didn't call?" she said, voice sharp like a blade made of guilt. "You were with my sister?" Still, I didn't say anything. I wasn't proud. I wasn't angry. I was just tired. "But Marla?" She smiled again and said, "No, Jessa. He wasn't with me. But he sure as hell wasn't waiting for you either." And in that moment, I realized This wasn't a love triangle. It was a clean break I hadn't known I needed. Jessa didn't cry. She looked like she wanted to, like she rehearsed it in the car, or maybe in front of a bathroom mirror, but the tears wouldn't come. I watched her eyes flick between me and Marla, scanning for any piece of the past that still existed in this house. There weren't many left. She finally spoke again, but this time her voice cracked, not from sadness, but from something nastier. So this is how you punish me? You wait until I break down. And then what? came my sister? Marla stepped forward before I could even react, still in that towel, still calm as hell, and said, "Don't flatter yourself, Jess. You broke him. I picked up the mess. That's not revenge. That's compassion." I stood there, frozen, realizing just how out of control everything had become. This wasn't supposed to happen. I wasn't supposed to feel anything when Jessa came back. I thought I'd yell, cry, maybe even forgive her. But I didn't feel love. I didn't feel hate. I felt nothing. And that scared me more than anything else. Jessa tried to guilt me, hard. I made a mistake. One mistake. And you're going to throw everything away over her? I almost laughed. One mistake? She moved in with her ex, went off-grid for a month. Didn't even bother checking in when she knew I was spiraling. But now, because her golden parachute fell apart, she expected to land right back in my arms like nothing had happened? I asked her something I had been choking on for weeks. Why did you really leave? She paused. For the first time, she looked human. Fragile. Her voice got soft. I thought he still loved me. I thought maybe I made the wrong choice when I married you. I don't know, Corbin. I just panicked. Panic. That's what she called it. Not betrayal. Not emotional annihilation. Just a temporary lapse, like she left the oven on or forgot to feed the dog. I turned away because I couldn't look at her anymore. And then I made the choice that still makes people in my family talk in hushed tones. I told her to leave. She didn't scream. She didn't throw things. She just stared at me like I had just dropped a glass of cold water on her dreams. Then she did the worst thing of all. She looked at Marla and said, "You'll never be me." And Marla replied, "Thank God." Jessa walked out the front door without slamming it. That's how I knew it wasn't over. The real damage doesn't come with noise, it comes with silence. And sure enough, 2 days later, it started. Her mother called first. I ignored it. Then her dad, the guy who once told me I was too soft to handle Jessa, left a voicemail that sounded like he was trying to keep himself from yelling. He said things like unforgivable and family betrayal. And my personal favorite, "You'll regret this when you realize she was the only one who ever truly loved you." It was surreal. They were acting like I cheated. Like I was the villain in a drama they hadn't even watched play out. But then came the group message. Yep. Jessa started a group chat titled Family Truth Time. She added me, Marla, her parents, her aunt, even her freaking hairstylist, who apparently doubled as her life coach. The message started with, "Since everyone's confused, let me clarify. I walked away from Corbin to process personal trauma. In the meantime, my younger sister chose to exploit my absence and sleep with my husband. Yes, my own sister." She made it sound like I was some unattended garden tool she left in the yard, and Marla picked me up for fun. Marla didn't take it quietly. She replied within minutes. "Funny how you walked away to process trauma in your ex's bed. You weren't healing, Jess. You were hedging, hoping Tate would be your upgrade. And when he wasn't, you came crawling back." The group chat exploded. Jess's mom took her side. Her dad stayed oddly silent. Marla dropped screenshots, not of anything intimate, but of texts Jessa had sent her over the years, mocking me, calling me boring, saying she wished she'd waited for something better. It hit me hard, because while I always suspected she wasn't proud to be with me, seeing the words was a different kind of knife. And then, just when I thought the drama peaked, Jessa did something truly nuclear. She called my mother. My sweet, overly forgiving, doesn't watch TV because it's do dash, intense mother. She told her I was emotionally unstable, that I had lost it after she left, that I was dangerously impulsive and probably sleeping around to cope. My mom cried, not because she believed it, but because someone would go that low. I felt something inside me snap, not in an angry way, more like a rope that finally stopped holding a weight it wasn't meant to carry. This wasn't just about a broken marriage anymore. It was a smear campaign, a slow-motion takedown launched by someone who couldn't stand the idea that I might be okay without her. And through all of it, Marla stayed calm. She didn't post, didn't rant. She just showed up, quietly, listened, cleaned up the kitchen when I forgot to, played indie folk on my speakers and brewed coffee like we were at peace. But we weren't, because Jessa wasn't done. I wish I could say I was surprised. But when you know someone intimately for years, you start to recognize the patterns, the way they hurt when they feel powerless, the way they play victim when the truth corners them. So when I got a meeting invite titled Urgent HR Matter, Attendance Review, my stomach didn't drop. It tightened, because I knew. The woman I used to call my wife had finally realized she couldn't get to me through emotion. So she went for what I had left, my job. I work in policy documentation, not exactly a headline-grabbing role. My days are a blend of technical writing, email chains, and people confusing me with IT. I'm not important enough to be noticed. And that's always been my safety zone. I write clean. I keep my head down. I do the work. But now, somehow, someone had forwarded a concerned email to HR. Anonymous, of course. It claimed I'd been erratic since my recent separation, possibly misusing sensitive information, and behaving inappropriately with a younger female who frequently visits my home. I'll give you one guess who that younger female was. I sat across from a woman named Alicia in HR who was trying to balance corporate obligation with obvious discomfort. She read through the flagged points, avoiding eye contact until she finally said, "Corbin, I don't believe this, for what it's worth. But we have to document it." I asked if they traced the email. She said it came from a dummy account. And just like that, someone with no proof had dropped poison into the well I'd spent a decade keeping clean. I left the meeting in a fog, but the second I got home, I told Marla. She didn't panic. She didn't cry. She just looked at me and said, "Then it's time we stop reacting and start preparing." The thing about Marla, and this is something I didn't realize until too late, is that she pays attention to people, to patterns, to power dynamics. While I was spiraling and replaying Jess's last words, Marla had already begun collecting breadcrumbs. She showed me something on her phone, a message Jessa accidentally sent to an old friend, thinking she was messaging someone else. It was short, but damning. "He won't survive a job loss. It'll break him. He's always needed structure. That's how you crush someone like him. Pull the floor out." I don't remember breathing for a full minute. This wasn't heartbreak anymore. This was warfare. Jessa had declared a silent war against me. And worse, she was framing it like concern. She wanted to break me down just enough that I'd need her again. Crawl back. Beg. But I wasn't the same man she left. And I sure as hell wasn't going to become one she could destroy. Marla said 5 words I never expected to hear from her. "You should let me handle it." I didn't know what she meant at first. Let me handle it. What does that even mean when your ex-wife is trying to ruin your career from the shadows? But Marla didn't blink when she said it. She wasn't being dramatic. She wasn't being reckless. She was being surgical, like she'd already mapped it out in her head. 2 nights later, she sent an email. Not to Jessa, not to my company. She sent it to a very specific group of people, for members of Jessa's extended family who had quietly sided with her in the group chat fallout. The ones who had reposted her subtle digs about toxic men and selfish husbands. The subject line? Receipts. Inside were screenshots. No embellishments. No comments. Just time-stamped messages, dated photos, and a quiet, methodical timeline. Jess's text to Tate while we were still married. Screenshots from a private Facebook group where she'd posted about marriage suffocating her freedom. A draft email, unsent but saved in her cloud backup, where she practiced writing a fake HR complaint in case I ever need leverage. It was devastating, and not just because it painted her as manipulative. It showed intent, rehearsal, strategy. She hadn't just fallen back in love with her ex. She'd been fantasizing about an escape plan long before she packed that overnight bag. One of her cousins, who always acted like a neutral party, replied with 2 words, "This changes everything." That night, Jessa called me. Not to apologize, not to explain, but to scream. She said I had weaponized Marla, that I had led her into places she didn't belong, that family lines were supposed to mean something. I let her talk. I listened to the guilt, the rage, the desperation. And when she finally asked me, "Why are you doing this to me?" I gave her an answer I hadn't planned to say out loud. "Because you tried to erase me. And now I'm just reminding you I exist." The next morning, HR called again. But not about me. They had been contacted by a lawyer representing someone who claimed to have been harassed by my ex-wife, who was allegedly spreading false reports about internal staff. Turns out one of the assistants in our department had been looped into Jess's anonymous emails without consent. She'd gone too far. She'd named names. And someone had proof. I didn't file the complaint. I didn't have to. She burned her own bridge this time. And that's when the stories started surfacing. It started small. A Facebook post from someone I didn't recognize, tagging Jessa in a long-winded rant about fake friends who manipulate mental health language to dodge consequences. It didn't mention her by name, but the initials, timeline, and location tags made it obvious. People started commenting. Some vague, some specific. One woman wrote, "Oh wow, she's still doing this." It wasn't just about me anymore. Jessa had spent years building this curated identity online. Soft-focus selfies. Inspirational captions about healing and growth. Book recommendations she never read. Advocacy quotes lifted from podcasts she couldn't summarize. She wore self-awareness like armor, which made the cracks hit even harder when they finally showed. Marla, for her part, kept her distance. She wasn't feeding the fire. She wasn't posting or commenting. She just observed. And the more she stayed quiet, the more people started wondering if maybe silence wasn't guilt. Maybe it was composure. Then, the real hit came. Someone, and to this day, I don't know who, posted a thread on a local community forum titled, "Influencer Exposed: The Truth Behind a Broken Marriage." It was long, detailed, clinical, no rants, just cold timelines, matched social media posts to private behaviors, and even compared timestamps from when Jessa claimed she was on a solo healing retreat to geotags placing her at bars, clubs, and eventually her ex's cabin. It blew up. People she had known for years unfollowed her in clusters. Brand sponsors she'd partnered with quietly pulled down collaborations. And within 72 hours, the smiling, quote-sharing persona she'd built collapsed like scaffolding in a windstorm. She called again. This time, there was no anger, just a hollow kind of confusion. "Corbin," she whispered, "they're turning on me. People I've helped, they think I lied." And the truth? She had. But what I didn't expect was how much I didn't enjoy it. I thought I'd feel vindicated, relieved. I thought I'd gloat, even silently. But all I felt was a weird, echoing emptiness. Because for all her faults, I remembered the woman I used to love. The one who danced barefoot in the living room on Sunday mornings. The one who once cried during a documentary about abandoned rescue dogs and made us foster 2 pit bulls for a month. But that version of her was long gone. Or maybe it never fully existed. Maybe it was always just a highlight reel. When I didn't respond to her message, she sent one final text that night. "You win." But that wasn't true. No one won. There were no winners here. Just survivors. The thing no one tells you about closure is that it rarely comes in a single moment. It's not an apology, not a confession, not even a breakdown or a public unraveling. It's a series of quiet decisions, one small choice at a time, to stop bleeding for people who didn't even notice you were cut. After Jess's final message, I didn't reply. Not because I was bitter, but because I finally didn't need to. I took a walk the next morning, no destination, no headphones, just air, noise, sunlight. For the first time in what felt like months, I felt like I was occupying my body again instead of just dragging it through the days. Marla stayed with me through the storm, but we didn't rush anything. No labels, no declarations, just moments. We shared meals. We went hiking. We rebuilt the garden Jessa never cared about. And maybe, just maybe, we started something that was built on honesty instead of apology. I even started writing again. Not for work. Not for someone else. Just me. Quiet journals. Fiction, even. I wrote one short story that ended up getting picked up by a small online lit mag. Nothing major, but it felt like planting something real in the ground. People still bring up Jessa sometimes. They ask if I've forgiven her. And my answer is always the same. I stopped needing to. Because forgiveness isn't about approval. It's about reclaiming space in your own life. And I've done that. So if you're watching this and you're holding on to something, an apology that never came, a version of yourself that only existed for someone else's comfort, maybe this is your sign to release it. And if you've made it this far, drop a comment and share a story where someone underestimated you, or where walking away turned out to be the best decision you ever made.